Hi everyone, I hope that you're having a wonderful half term and that you are enjoying the sun. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you back at school next week. Can't wait to see some of you. Those of you that are still working from home, it will be exactly the same, so working from Purple Mash and Mathletics, and we'll be doing a very similar thing in school as well, and hopefully I will get to see all of you at some point before July. Okay, so last time we were reading, we left Stan. He just had his first day working on the hooker duck stall, and he was suggesting that they use sweets instead of goldfish as prizes. But as Mr. Dot explained, they can't do that. They need to go and get some more fish. So he's just sent Stan off to try and buy some more goldfish from somebody. Okay, so this is chapter 20 that we're on now. As Stan walks through the fair, he has the weirdest feeling that he's being watched. He looks around, but there are just the usual kids and dogs and families and stallholders. Every now and then somebody waves or calls his name. He waves back. He keeps on walking. He keeps on having the feeling like there's one pair of eyes that picked him out from all the people at the fair. One pair of eyes that's following him. It's not a scary feeling. It's just a bit weird. He looks for signs of the goldfish supplier. A woman outside the haunted house pulls a pair of fangs from her mouth and says he seems a bit lost. He tells her what he's looking for. Fish, she says. Can't help you there, lad. There's no call for fish in the field in the fiend and phantom trade, unless they're dead, of course. She puts the fangs back in, raises her clawed hands and howls like a wolf and pretends to chase him off. Stan carries on. I'm Tickle Peter, says a man who comes to walk at his side. I'm Stan, said Stan. Do you know where the goldfish supplier is? Make me laugh and I might tell you. Stan stops and looks at him. Peter's wearing leopard skin trunks and a pair of silver braces. On his head is a pointed hat with Tickle Peter and Make Him Laugh and Win £100 written on it. He holds out a bag. Only costs £1. Use one of these feathers or a stick or a leaf or whatever you want. Tickle me, make me laugh, and you'll win £100. Then I'll tell you what I know about the fellow you're looking for. Tickle Peter goes silent. His face is glum. He waits for Stan to respond. Stan thinks about the pound. Is it right to spend £1 to try to get the information? Or you can tell me a joke if you want, says Peter. He sighs. I haven't laughed for 20 years. Go on, Stan, make me laugh. Stan puts his hands into his pocket, takes out a pound coin and gives it to Peter. Why did the monkey fall out of the tree? He says. It's the only joke he knows. He remembers it from those far-off days at school. He remembers laughing and laughing when he heard it. I don't know, says Tickle Peter. His face turns even glummer. He sighs. Why did the monkey fall off the tree? Because it was dead, cries Stan. Peter sighs again. Oh, is that it? He says. Yes, says Stan. Have you heard it before? Once or twice. Listen, I'm feeling generous. You can tell me another one. Stan looks down. You don't know it any more, do you? Says Peter. Stan shakes his head. Well, try a tickle then. Peter holds out the bag again. Stan chooses a long, brightly coloured feather. Peter raises his arms and Stan tickles his armpits. He tickles him behind the knees. He tickles him on the chest and on the legs and on the neck. Peter doesn't move. His face turns even glummer. Enough, he says at last. I thought you might have it, you, Stan, but clearly you haven't. What a disappointment. Stan puts the feather back in the bag. It's my living, explains Peter. I made a fortune from all the pounds I've taken over the years, but I'd give it all away if I could just laugh. He shrugs and turns to go. Maybe I'll see you around, Stan. You could still tell me about the goldfish supplier, says Stan. Peter pauses. I could. Go on then, please. Okay, I don't know anything about the goldfish supplier. But you said. I said I'd tell you what I know about the bloke you're looking for. And what I know is nothing. Tickle Peter watches Stan. See what happens when you don't laugh for 20 years? See what happens when you're making your living by tricking and cheating? You turn cruel and bitter, Stan. That's what happens. Goodbye. Stan kicks the grass, he spits, he spins around, and there, right behind him, where before there was just an empty space, is a sign stuck on a post that's been stabbed into the earth. Directions to the goldfish supplier. Past the clattering dodgems, beyond the penny falls, first right at the Ferris wheel, then past the groaning wrestling booth, where you must call out in a loud voice, "Pin him down, Thunderer!" Then eat a piece of boat at the wild boar cookhouse and... Sorry, that writing's really tricky to read, it's handwriting. At the Wild Boar Cookhouse and head for the tent which looks like the world. Whistle. It's a long way to Tipperary, and there you will be. Chapter 21. Stan follows the directions. They take him through the heart of the fair. The wrestling booth has a great arched entrance decorated with paintings of ancient wrestlers. The painted wrestlers wear masks and capes, and some of them pose with their arms folded and others with their arms raised to show off their muscles. They grapple with each other. They fly feet first through the air. There is a great roar from the hidden crowd inside the booth. There are loud gasps of horror and astonishment. There's a sudden silence in the roar, into which Stan calls, "Pin him down, Thunderer!" Then comes a great round of cheering and applause, and a victory has obviously been won. Stan walks on and finds himself at the Wild Boar Cookhouse. A whiskery man, who looks like a boar himself, leans down from the counter and holds out a piece of meat. "Have a chop, sonny," he grunts. Stan takes it from the man's hairy hand. He chews the delicious meat and licks the delicious juices from his lips. "Is it lovely enough?" growls the boar man. "It is," says Stan. "What are you after?" says the boar man. "A tent," answers Stan. The boar man grunts. "Have you heard the tale about the man that ate the boat?" Stan shakes his head. "He ended up a boar himself." "Have you heard the tale about the boar that ate the man?" "It ended up as a man itself?" "Maybe it would have. Maybe it should have. That would make sense. But no, it was hunted down and shot." "Oh, that's a pity," says Stan, thinking about the family of the boar. "Is it?" says the boar man. "It turned out very tasty." He points to the meat in Stan's hand. "As you can testify yourself. Now, here's another. Have you heard the tale of the tent that looked like the world?" Stan shakes his head. "It ended up looking nowt like a tent." Stan swallows the last of the meat. He licks his fingers. "What does that mean?" he says. "It means you should be whistling by now." Stan starts whistling It's a Long Way to Tipperary, and a man appears from among the trees and beckons Stan towards him. "Are you the goldfish supplier?" asks Stan. "Do I look like the goldfish supplier?" asks the man. "Well, I don't know," says Stan. "Then what do I look like?" "I don't know. Like a man?" "Like a man? That's good. You can stop whistling that horrible tune now. Come along." And the man reaches towards a tree and draws it towards him, and Stan realises that what looks like trees is in fact the canvas walls of a tent with images of trees and earth and sky on them. "I thought it was trees," Stan gasps. Behind him, the boar man snuffles and grunts. "Of course you did," says the man at his side. "You thought it was trees. You thought it was the world, but it is not. It is just a tent. Now hurry up and get inside. My name is Mr. Smith, by the way." "I'm Stan," says Stan. "Come along," says Mr. Smith. Chapter 22. The inside of the tent is cavernous. There are true trees growing there, and Stan touches them. And yes, they're real. The light is dim like dawn. Mr. Smith walks briskly, hurrying Stan forward. They pass huge empty cages whose steel bars are all rusted. "Elephants," says Mr. Smith when he sees Stan looking. "Elephants," says Stan. "There used to be elephants in the cages, and lions and tigers and zebras and bears. But that was in the old days when we supplied everything. It's all come down to an expert for It's all come to an end except for goldfish and a few speciality items. Hurry along, please, and be careful where you step. There are rumours that a pair of scorpions have escaped." Stan stares down in horror at the ground beneath his feet. "Scorpions," he gasps. "Why do you have scorpions?" "Well, for the Scorpion Act, of course. And if you hear flapping, be sure to duck. It will be the eagle. He likes to land on the heads of people, and his claws are very long and very, very sharp." Stan looks at the earth. He looks at the sky. He holds his hands against his skull, and his heart thunders and thumps. "Goodness gracious," says Mr. Smith. "I can see that you're not used to this. What on earth are you doing here?" Stan gasps again. He goggles at the man. What is he doing here? How on earth did he end up like this? He wants to tell him, "I'm just an ordinary boy. I don't want to be in a tent that looks like the world, searching for half a shoal of goldfish. I don't want to be frightened of scorpions and eagles. I want to go right back to the start, when I had an ordinary life with an ordinary family and an ordinary home, and I was ordinary little Stanley Potts." The yelling inside his head feels so loud that Stan is certain Mr. Smith must hear it. "Well," says Mr. Smith. Stan sighs. "Wilfred Dott sent me here," he whispers. Mr. Smith nods. "Ah, that makes sense," he says. "Now come along. Ah, look out, duck!" Stan flings himself to the ground and wraps his arms around his head. Nothing happens. He hears laughter. He looks up. "My little joke," said Mr. Smith. "Works every time. Now get up. The goldfish supply is ready for you." And he walks away. Okay, I think I'm going to have to stop there in chapter 23. Okay, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your half term, and I shall see you all very soon.